and online, please check in for me on iClicker. I don't think it's GeoFence, so I think you can do it if you're online. Okay, now, while I'm admitting people, also on your iClicker, little poll, what brings a smile to your face? Give me a short answer on iClicker.
My buddies.
Close in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. See, sometimes, yeah, you can't see it.
Pig is crazy. Pig. My.
A pig
Just
brings you
my.
joy?
I meant to write pugs and I.
Oh,
corrected
it's
to
pigs?
pig.
I thought I could eliminate filler words
That's
here.
still cute though.
Shut up.
I wrote a really.
Apparently doesn't think my is a filtered word. Um,
Wrote a long responses in my chat.
Watching funny boyfriend before, it's funny how this breaks this up, right? Like before what? Oh, class, walks in better weather, dogs, Friday, sleeping, more dogs. Anime, leisure activities. Yeah,
I really.
Beyonce out. That's
I
not.
put Beyonce.
Video games. Great, all right,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing. Okay, today, first of all, thank you everyone for being here or on Zoom. I confess I kind of hate these days because I feel like the energy is so lacking when there's fewer people in the classroom. But it does work better for some people. So what we're going to do is, we're actually not gonna talk much about projects. We're gonna do that on Thursday. We're gonna talk about crosstabs, what they are, why we use them, and then most of the class, we're gonna spend in Google Sheets or Excel. I've got it set up in Google Sheets, but you can do it in Excel. How we actually do those and what they mean. So miscellaneous, this was actually last year, but this one I on the slide. So a former student wrote me, I've obviously de-identified them. It says, good morning, hope all is well. Just want to say that your class has been the most applicable in my line of work by far. Everything I find a way to recall your teachings and enjoy being able to feel prepared. So much so, I don't know what that rest of that says, but I tell you, at least I mean to tell you, I think it often, like this class is super relevant to what you will do. For many of you, not everybody, but for many of you, it will be one of the more relevant skills as you move forward. And we're gonna some of those today. Okay. A little review from Thursday. We talked about univariate stats. So as a reminder, hold on, I'm gonna screen share them. So a reminder, univariate, uni1, unicycle, okay, variant variable. So these are statistics on one variable. We will sometimes call these descriptives because all they're doing is describing the situation for us. We put these in two categories. Well, actually three categories. One, just frequency, so counting how many tourism majors, how many parks and rec majors, how many therapeutic recreation majors, how many right-handed people, how many left-handed people. So those are frequency counts. And then the second bucket is what we call measures of central tendency. So what's in the middle? So if we take a broad swath of data, what tends to be in the middle? So this is mean or average. You know what an average is. This is median, the one in the middle, and mode, the most frequently occurring. And then we talked about measures of dispersion, so how spread out things are. And specifically, we talked about standard deviation as a measure of how spread out your data are. And we talked about the example where you have two sets of data that have the same average score. Okay. So let's say I took your exam scores and the exam scores from last semester, and the average was the same. On the surface, I might say classes are about the same. But if I looked at the standard deviation and I saw that your standard deviation was much higher than their standard deviation, what that would tell me is there was more variety here. Like you had people who did really well and people who did poorly. Where when standard deviation is low, it means everybody's kind of clumped together. So everybody did about the same. So those have a bit of different interpretations. And then, and so we talked about what level of measurement we need for each of these. So nominal data, we can really only do frequency counts. Okay, we can count how many are in each category. So actually, we can do the mode too, but we don't usually. Okay. We can't do the mean, we can't do the median, and we can't do the standard deviation. Okay. Ordinal is always going to be exactly the same as nominal. So we can count how many are in each grouping, in each range, but we can't do an average. And then interval data, we can certainly mode, median, standard deviation. Okay. We can do frequency counts, kind of. I just put can, but not best solution. So let's talk about why that is. So let's say I have a Likert scale, strongly agree to strongly disagree. All right, so on a scale of 1 to 5. So Michaela says 2, Evelyn says 3, Emma says 5, Tessa says 4, Paige says 2, Colton says 3, Grace says 4. I'll finish out that row. Hugh says 3, Lauren says 2. Okay. I can do a frequency count here. Okay. I can count how many 2s. I can count how many 3s. I can count how many 5s. I can count how many 4s. Right? And I could say X% of you said 2, X% of you said 3, X% of you said 4. I can do that. There are times you will do that. What is the better approach here? Because you have interval data, is take the average score. The average score is going to, in most cases, give you more meaningful data. Right. So that's univariate. Today, we're gonna move into the most common and simplest form of a bivariate or multivariate calculation, and that is crosstabs. So crosstabs are simply looking at the relationships between multiple variables. And I'll give you a chart of this in a second, but actually just, that's probably not gonna make any sense out of context. So let me show you some examples. Just random. So the Washington Post has this whole column called Department of Data. And they always grab data and ask kind of interesting, somewhat random questions. So the most recent one was, who uses public libraries the most? And then they grab some data. And so these are crosstabs. So here, we're looking at usage by gender. So variable one, gender, variable two, usage. So we've got bivariate, okay? So gender is a nominal variable, so we know we can only count, okay? Usage here, you could argue this is interval. They're treating it like ordinal. But you see how many males used it. This coloring is probably hard to see. Daily, a few times a year, rarely, never. They did the same by income. So they've got their incomes here in ranges. So this is definitely ordinal. So people who made 100,000 or more, 30% of those use it. I think that's daily. 26% a few times a year. 29% rarely. 16% never. Interesting. They did it by political affiliation. So again, a nominal variable. So 30% of Democrats go daily, weekly, or monthly. 17% of Republicans go daily, weekly, or monthly. And then they found, and this is kind of interesting to play with data, and that's this whole column does. You get things that don't necessarily make sense. So the most frequent users of libraries by religion are Hindu, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, which is also kind of an odd grouping because this don't have a lot in common. But that's some examples of crosstabs. I've shown you some crosstabs when I gave your exams back. And just, these aren't even your scores, but just as a reminder, these are crosstabs, okay? Exam scores by gender, exam scores by residency status. So in two variables, your exam score, gender, residency status, year in school. And those are all crosstabs. Just presented in different ways. Okay, before we get to practice. Share for folks at home. So if we think about level of measurement. Okay. I'll make that bigger just a second. Okay. So we've got nominal categories, right? Ordinal. We can put them in order, but also categories, and then scale or interval. We more frequently call that interval, right? Okay. Nominal variables, categories. what's the only thing I can do if I have a nominal variable? Statistically, if I have a nominal variable, what's the only thing I can do? Can I take an average? No. Can I count how many there are? Yes, okay. So we know the only thing I can do here is a count or frequency. Okay, so if I have two nominal variables, the only thing I can do is count. Okay, the frequency count. You'll learn in a minute, but I'm gonna put it in the table. It's a count if. Okay, so frequency count. Okay, I just told you we're always gonna treat interval data the same as nominal data. Okay, so if I have one nominal variable and one ordinal variable. Okay, so let's say my nominal variable is major. My ordinal variable is age, but I put it in ranges. Okay, so let's say my ranges. Eraser. Actually, this is probably better for you and the folks online. Let's say if I ask my range as less than 18, 19 to 25, 26 and up. Okay. So let's say I wanted to know major. Okay. So we'll go PDM, PRSM, NLM. Okay. What I would do is I would count how many people under 18 are tourism majors, Parks and Rec majors, nonprofit majors. How many people 19 to 25 are tourism majors, Parks and Rec majors, nonprofit majors. So I'm using both of those variables. Be the same. Now, let's think about grades by major. I did a random number generator, which did not like me. Oh, because it's rounding. Don't worry about what I'm doing right now. I'm just giving us some data to play with. Okay, major is a nominal variable, right? Okay, we all agree major is a nominal categorical variable. A grade in this case where I have the exact number is integral technically ratio, but scale, right? Okay, I know the exact difference between 730 and 80 and 84 and 73, 179. I know the exact difference between those, so it's integral. We know with nominal data, all I can do is count, okay? But we know I can average, okay, interval data. I can get an average exam score. So now, what I can do is I can get an average exam score by major. That's again, you will learn these functions momentarily, but
I'm mesmerized right now.
you're mesmerized.
Yeah, because I'm really bad at Excel.
Yeah.
Well, we learned, oh, you're in that class, I always forget.
Literally
I always forget yours is the
require
same thing.
Microsoft.
I learned how to do equals the sum of
But that was like very like
different
some,
like,
like bruh, I
squares.
could figure that out.
These friends and all these was. Excel's literally
Okay, I'm doing this fast game because just to show you the concept. We will slow it down, don't worry.
How long ago did you apply?
So I can say that the average formatting bothers me.
Imagine you sit on it.
The average score for tourism majors was 77. Or I just made this up, so
They can't see the screen.
you can't see the screen.
No, they just see a chart with a blank Excel sheet.
That's weird. Ask if that's better, Chris.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what was going on, but so I can tell the average exam score for tourism majors, the average for nonprofit, the average for Parks and Rec. Remember, I just made this data up, so don't forget. Okay, so when I have an interval variable and a nominal or ordinal variable, I can do both of those things. So this becomes an average if. Okay. What is the average exam score if you're a tourism major? What is the average exam score if you're a nonprofit major? What is the average exam score if you're a Parks and Rec major?
What is average?
Hmm?
What does average if mean?
What does it mean? So the average exam score if you're a tourism major. The average exam score if you're a nonprofit major. The average exam score if you're a Parks and Rec major. Does that help, Laura? And then we were not going to learn this one yet. When we get two nominal variables, we do a correlation. We'll learn that next week. So a little hint, I mean, yes, take notes, but I will tell you, when you get to your exam, because I know that's ultimately where your brain goes, you will get this table. Actually, it'll be a little bit more complicated than this, but you will get this table as a resource. So you're going to have to identify, if you can identify what the measurement levels are for the variables, you'll be able to go, okay, I know I have two nominal variables, I do a frequency count. I know I have an interval variable and an ordinal variable, I do an average if. Okay, so you don't have to memorize this.
Can you go back?
Yep.
Thanks.
All right, go ahead and grab this URL. I don't know why I didn't shorten that, but tinyurl.com/B as in boy, D as in dog, E as in Eric, D as in dog, R as in rabbit, number 4, E as in Eric, and number 3. Go there after you've got it, make a copy of that. Again, B, D, E, D, R, 4, E, 3.
I think I had a minute first.
Everybody got this or?
This is long. Unacceptable, unacceptable.
Oh my God, that's still going.
We good?
The 588.
You need me to go back, Grace?
Oh, no, I got it. Thank you.
Unacceptable.
Is it letting you make a copy?
I think it's because you're not signed in.
Shouldn't. Should let you make a copy, but. Oh, yeah, you have to be signed into your Google account. Because I think, you have to be signed into your Google account and then you should be able to make a copy. Shout if you're still having an issue. Okay, we good? All right. These are actual data from a project I worked on with the Utah Jazz, the NBA team. So the Utah Jazz runs their own youth basketball league, well, in partnership. It has about 60,000 kids, the largest NBA affiliated youth basketball program in the country. So we did a couple things. They were having behavior issues, and so they implemented this positive behavior program. And then they wanted to know if it worked. So what we did is we surveyed programs that participated in their positive behavior program and basketball leagues that did not, about behaviors, and we compared them. And we saw no difference. And so the program didn't work, at least in year one. So we also did some interviews on that, and one of the things we found out is people kind of had different ideas of what was acceptable behavior and what was not acceptable behavior. So we decided that before like really going forward with this positive behavior program, we need to figure out like what people's attitudes were to different behaviors. So the next year we did a very similar survey. But then we also asked people, we identified like 10 different behaviors, what I call gray behaviors. So we asked some basketball officials, like, what are some things that people do that might be okay and they might not be okay? And so we got this list, and then we asked people to rate how acceptable they believe those behaviors were on a 5-point scale. So 1 being completely unacceptable, 5 being completely acceptable. Okay. The 1 to 5 unacceptable, what level of measurement is that? Interval, yeah. Okay. The other thing we asked them, we actually asked them a lot, but this is a small snippet of it. We asked them to rate how big of a fan they were of the Utah Jazz, the NBA team, the professional team, on a 10-point scale. 10 being like biggest fan ever, 1 being I could care less about them. And the reason we asked that is we were interested in the question of were people who were bigger fans of the professional team, were they more likely to think these behaviors were okay? By the way, yes. The bigger of a fan you were of the professional sports, the more likely you were to think that these gray behaviors were okay. It's not surprising, but kind of interesting. So what I've given you here is a couple small things from that survey. Someone commented on a link. We had about, first year we had like 2,000 participants. This one, just about 500 or so. Okay. So first of all, what was their role? Were they just a parent? Are they a parent and a coach? Are they just a coach or are they staff? How big of a fan they are, 1 to 10, and then how acceptable or unacceptable the behavior is. And then I've given you age as a range, so ordinal, and gender. All right, so the first thing we need to do is make some sense of all these words. Okay. You told me that this is interval data. I agree with you, okay? If we're gonna assume this is interval data, we can convert these to numbers, and we are gonna convert them to a 1 to 5 scale. If you're not sure what each thing says, you can go to the code book here. It tells you we go 1 is unacceptable, 2 is somewhat unacceptable, 3 is neutral, 4 is somewhat acceptable, and 5 is acceptable. So in your data, you're gonna highlight columns D through L, okay? Important, you wanna do it at the top. You don't need to do it all the way down. So notice, maybe you can notice I'm hitting the D up here. I'm actually, you can drag, I'm holding down shift over to the L.
Wait, sorry.
No, you're fine. This is how I do this.
We're just highlighting.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy to come around. This is why I think it's,
I can't,
can be helpful to be in class, but also ask people around the room.
I zoned out.
Then we'll
For
get
momentum.
Which should, oh, yeah, I think it's not in there.
Okay.
equals. I just wanna get in the bed.
So,
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do an edit replace. There are 2 ways to do that. You can go up to edit and then go down to find and replace. Okay. You'll notice here it also, you could also hit Control H.
wait, how do you get all D through L highlighted? I can't get
And click on D and then you hold on to it till you get to L.
Yeah, mine just moved it.
Yeah, same.
Hold down on shift after you click D, then click it. Don't let go of shift.
Let me,
Hold down on shift and then click L.
yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Then hit it too. This is, yeah,
and then edit.
Your turn.
It was edit what now?
You see, okay, it shifts.
Find and replace.
Okay, now.
The more I learn on Excel, I need to zoom my own.
I write down my favorite.
Anybody else have any issues there?
Just do it.
Alright, so next thing you're gonna do is you can go to
So
edit,
you have to be in like.
edit, and then scroll down to find and replace, or if you wanna do Control H, you can do that. On a PC, I don't know what it is on a Mac, it's always slightly different.
Command Shift H.
Okay, so we wanna convert all our acceptables to 5s, right? So what I'm gonna type, I'm gonna put find acceptable, replace with 5. Now, important here, usually, click match entire cell contents. The reason we do that is if I don't click that, then it's gonna replace all the acceptables with 5s, and the ones that say somewhat acceptable are now gonna say somewhat 5. It's not what we want, okay? So very important that they check that. Okay. I'm gonna click replace all. Replace 146. Now I'm gonna change my somewhat acceptables. So I'm just gonna add the somewhat in front of that to 4. Replace all. It's 267.
Do we have to like press done and then go back and?
No, you do not. Good question. You can, but you can stay in the screen after you hit.
Okay.
replace all.
So I can just like erase acceptable and just put somewhat and then it was.
Yep. And then 3, I think 3 is neutral. Can someone look at the code book and tell me this?
It is neutral.
Just-
Yes, it's neutral.
So I'm gonna change my find neutral, change that to a 3. Replace
And
all.
then now,
You kind
Okay.
of.
what was 4 again, sorry?
Somewhat acceptable. Now somewhat unacceptable is 2. And then unacceptable is 1. So now all those should be numbers. If you're seeing something in there that's not a number, you made a mistake, probably made a typo.
This is so cool. I didn't even.
I didn't know we could do this. This is amazing.
Okay, so far so good? So, these all asked about different behaviors. And sorry, in my attempt to simplify this with you, I deleted these, but you just got to trust me. These all ask about different behaviors. One was like, I dropped the ball instead of giving it to the ref. One was like, I trash talked another player. I forget what they are. But we're gonna treat this like a multi-item measurement. Okay? So remember, what I'm interested in is how people perceive the acceptability of all these gray behaviors. Right? I can look at them individually, this behavior, that behavior, that behavior, but what I really want is people's general attitude, okay? So instead of looking at these individually, I'm gonna look at them together. So for each person, I'm gonna take an average score. Okay, average or mean. So in column, well, in M2, I'm gonna start with equal. Every time I write a formula, it starts with equals. The command here is average. You'll notice when you start typing, it starts giving you options. Anytime after a command, always comes a parentheses. So I'm gonna take the average for this person. This person who's in row 2, I'm gonna take the average of their scores across. There's 2 ways to do that. You could type D2 colon L2. Honestly, that's easy to make a mistake. So what I recommend after the parentheses, you can just highlight D2 to L2.
And then enter.
And then enter. Technically, there's a closed parentheses there, but the program is smart enough to figure it out. Oh, now we've got an error message. Why?
No.
Oh, that's because I'm in M20. M2. And then hit the
There we go.
equal sign.
All right. I'd like to claim I did this intentionally as a learning moment. Okay, we're gonna pretend I did this intentionally as a learning moment. I did not, I made a mistake. So these things happen though, and it is actually a good learning moment. So the reason that was giving me an error message is it was reading the program was reading all these numbers as text. I thought they were letters.
And then hit enter.
I thought they were letters. So what you need to do, highlight D to L again. Okay, like you did when we replaced. Then you go up to format, number,
What do you do this?
and change it to number.
Yeah.
Okay. So I go format, number, and change it to number.
Oh my gosh. Will you be posting this Zoom later?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get to it.
So a couple things to know, like A, I will post this. B, for the assignment you do, like I have recorded videos that walk you through, and that way you can stop, rewind, stop, rewind.
Okay, cool.
Alright,
I kind of got it. It's just,
Grade's turn.
Okay. Everybody got this in number format?
oh,
Mind suggesting to autofill the rest of the column?
Good question. Many of you are probably getting an autofill suggestion. In this case, it's almost certainly right. It's not always right. The program tries to be smart and usually it's right, but it's not always. So while you're learning, my recommendation is to like X that and be like, no, don't do it. Okay. Does anybody not have the mean, or the average score here?
Sorry.
See that blue dot? Dragon. He's dragon. Yeah, everybody said it's rich.
Yeah, I know.
I
I don't know what the,
Like, it's gonna be
either way, will it not?
And then
Yeah, he's saying sometimes the option.
Because I just feel like a lot.
Yeah, technically, but it'll work for you. Okay. So, highlight E to L. again.
Shells.
So, sorry, the highlight.
Do that one.
It's format.
I feel like you didn't have to give this.
Take a short name for
Folks, I'm more than happy to walk around, but also help each other.
Like, you're being weird.
That's because you're replacing the five, so we want to be acceptable replaces with five.
Okay.
Five.
Something Then I'd be working for, then it was free trade saving my defects, just obviously sent me. It's like it's so broad, but like it's hard to actually find something
Acceptable,
that.
somewhat acceptable.
Yeah, close, right?
Were like, yeah, they're in that one.
You can come back to yourself, but I want to get. All right,
There's no matches found. This is Abby.
there's no matches found.
She said when she goes to replace the word, it says no matches found.
She has a typo undoubtedly.
Under what? Sorry? File.
Like. Find and replace, and we go to do it like, make the words into numeric.
Ask her if she's okay sharing her screen with all of us.
Are you okay sharing your screen with everyone? Okay.
So I think it's good to see what other people do. All right, Abby. Share with us.
I love that she just faced it. She's like,
Abby,
oh, maybe it won't let her. Other restrictions?
I gave permission.
Like, so what is that?
Literally, this name's fake. Astra.
There we go.
There you go.
Look.
What are you
trying to say?
What is it even?
That's
the first bullet.
It had me until the last.
Yeah,
two
I know,
bullets.
same.
They can't explain
It's like they're putting him in a cannon.
Edit.
No.
Actually, I need to get all of those.
No.
Okay. Find and replace.
That's so far, that's.
And then so I was just like.
Like the link or like whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after that, she was like,
Abby, did that solve your issue?
have you been?
Yes, but I don't know what I did differently. I just X'd out of it and went back in the Excel, but it was not working before, so I don't know why it wasn't.
It was fine. Except it was fine.
Posted 30+ days ago. Sunday,
not talk to me or something.
Chris, ask her. Yeah, just kidding. Abby, did we solve your issue?
Over here, it doesn't say.
She said, "Can he hear me?"
No, we can't hear.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna, Abby, we may need to come back to you. No, we're good. All right, so let's go back here. So you should have this number here. Now, this is just, the formatting is just gonna bug me. So in general, we want no more than 2 decimals. The way you do that, and I'll point for folks in the room and then I'll point with my cursor. Up here, see these little arrows above the 0.0 and the 0.00? Okay, that's reduce and increase decimal. So I'm gonna decrease the decimal places down to 2. Okay, now you just need to write that formula 600 times. Cool. I'm gonna. All right, I'm glad someone else thought that was funny. So all we're gonna do is copy paste, and the easy way to do that is drag. So I'm gonna move my cursor to the bottom right-hand corner until it becomes this very thin plus sign. So if you see, I'm like the thick arrow, bottom right corner, it becomes a thin plus sign. Once I do that, I can drag it all the way down.
Just like.
Going and going.
5 years later.
There we go.
Oh,
Oh, she said share your screen again.
Oh, thanks.
Zoom is hard.
Can you look at line 499?
yeah.
Okay, mine's.
All right,
It's still going.
Oh, yeah, because there's nothing there.
Wait, no, not on that.
So again, for folks online, what I did, I go to the bottom right corner of that cell till it becomes a thin plus sign. And then I can drag it down all the way.
I think you have to make this.
Oh, these all.
I'll walk around,
Oh my gosh, because they're all.
flag me for
Does it
having
start
any
with,
trouble.
like, highlight E, so you don't have to, cause I see it did it on these.
Oh. Everybody else. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Anybody having trouble?
I don't know why I kinda like click it.
So
I'll just
you are having trouble. with your
watch the video.
You can-
These not filled, did they just not finish?
How are some of these not?
Yeah, like,
And then do.
Oh, good question. All right, Emma has a question over here, and she's like, why are some of these blank? So, of course, I'm not seeing one by a quick scroll, but she's right. Some of these are blank. The reason is they just skipped that question.
Oh,
They didn't answer it, which is okay.
Oh, the person.
The person didn't answer it. Yeah, the person didn't answer it. So we get a lot of skipped ages. People skip that one a lot. Okay, so we have our average score. By the way, we should have done column C too, but whatever. We'll ignore that for now.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We all kept ours, like.
All right, so let's go to the analysis tab.
The tab on the bottom. It says
Okay. So first thing I want to know is of the people who filled out my survey, how many of them were staff, how many were parents, how many were coach and parent, and how many were coach only?
Oh.
Okay, so what level of measurement is this?
Nominal.
Okay, and with nominal data, the only thing you can do is analysis wise, count it, okay? So the small n here just means number, so the number of staff, the number of parents. All right. Equals. Count if. Okay. So what I'm telling the program is to count the person if they're staff, count if they're a parent, count if they're a coach and parent. Okay. So count if parentheses. First thing I need to tell it is what column am I counting from? So I'm going to click over to my data. Okay. In this case, I'm counting from column A. Column A, which is my role. So I'm going to just click at the top here and grab all of column A just like that. So I've told the program count if in column A. Now, the other thing is I always separate expressions with usually a comma, sometimes there's a comma. Okay. Count if in column A, every time it says staff. Now, there's two ways to do this. I can type staff. Okay, in quotation marks, 'cause it's text. It'll tell me there's 0, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, I know why. Maybe we don't have any staff.
That's recreations.
That's why. Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
All right, here again, this is actually is a nice learning moment, even if it wasn't intentional. So important here, you have to match this exactly. So we should change staff. This says recreation staff. Okay. And then in the quotation marks, I could say recreation staff now at 32. Count if in column A, it says recreation staff.
Oh, I got an error.
Okay, hold on. I'll come help you, but I'm gonna show you the other way first. Now, this is nice, this works, but there's two things about it that make it not ideal. One, it's easy to make a typo. B, now I have to keep rewriting that formula to match, say parent, say coach and parent, say coach only, okay? So I'm gonna change this up a little bit. I'm gonna say equals count if. Count if in column A, comma. Now, instead of typing out recreation staff, I'm gonna click on it over here. So I'm gonna say, count if in column A, it matches what I have here in A3, which is recreation staff. And then again, it's gonna wanna autofill. It is correct, but for now, I suggest Xing that out. Now, the beauty of this, doing it this way, is I don't have to rewrite the formula. I can go to the corner, get the little plus sign, and drag it down. Okay,
Okay, Mike.
so I have 32 staff, 422 parents. Now, here's the issue again where my text doesn't match how it's written. It's actually written as parent, coach, and coach. If you change that to parent, coach, and coach, you'll get it. Okay. Make sure you get those numbers. Raise your hand if you're not getting those. Yeah.
Like I did like for this like recreation stuff, I did like the recreation stuff in parentheses. But for the second time, we showed like, you just put like A3.
Yep.
And so would I put it like A4 and then parentheses like?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
You can also, if you just drag down the top one, it'll auto adjust. Okay, so if I drag this down, it's gonna naturally change to A4, A5, A6. And that's the perk of doing it that way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
For some reason, all of these are correct except for the 0.
See, this is where it's. Oh, you got a Mac, copy that for me. That's real quick. It's actually Nancy.
Wait, what?
Just copy that whole stuff. Sorry, I'm not giving good directions. There you go. You just had a space that didn't belong.
Okay.
Yep.
Maybe like, oh, yeah, picture, not right here. Like, you know what I meant.
You know,
Okay, anybody else not? All right, so the next thing I want to know is what percentage of that is of the entirety? So I said, well, 32 recreation staff, okay, Well, if there's only 33 people in the survey, that's most everybody. If there's 600 in some, that's not a lot. So we want to change that to percent. So I'll give you two ways, the long way and the short way. The short way is a little more complicated, but good skill. So the short way is to add a total down here. And then equals sum, SUM parentheses, and I highlight those items. So I should get 587. Now, percent of total, so in C3 equals, I'm gonna click on B3 divided by B7.
That is okay. Hold on.
Yeah, you might be feeling confident. You're like, cool, I got this. I'm just gonna take that top part and I'm gonna drag it down. So I'm gonna do the right-hand corner until it becomes a plus sign. I'm gonna drag it down. And then all of a sudden, actually the program was being smart here again, but all of a sudden it's like, well, wait a minute, I thought I had this. Why am I getting error messages? This is why. If we look at our formula, it's 3 divided by 7, right? This next one I want to be 4 divided by 7. Okay. 5 divided by 7. What happens when you pull it down, the program like auto adjusts. So here, if this is 3 divided by 7, this becomes 4 divided by 8, 5 divided by 9, 6 divided by 10, and so it screws it up. So what we're gonna do in that top part is what's called an anchor. Today's vocabulary complaint is the $sign, but we call it an anchor. Okay. And we're gonna tell the program that I don't want that 7 to change. I'm gonna drag it down, but I want that 7 to always be 7. I'm gonna anchor it at 7. I don't want it to become 8, 9, 10. I wanna anchor it at 7. So up here, in C3, where I have equals B3 divided by B7, I'm gonna equals B, and I'm gonna put a $sign in front of the 7, which is an anchor. Now, if I go to the corner and pull it down, now it works. Because now if you look at the formulas, it's B3 divided by B7, B4 divided by B7, B5 divided by B7, B6 divided by B7.
Mine even has an extra, oh wait, that's the wrong column. Mine has an extra $sign actually. Mine is $B, $7.
You put a $sign in front of the B as well.
I didn't even do, I just dragged it down and then it gave me them and then,
It's not harming anything because it's anchoring the B, which we're not changing.
yeah.
It's not necessary, it's not harming anything. Okay. Anybody not got that?
Just basically just writing.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do this quickly. If you're like, I got this is easy, challenge me. If you're like, no, I don't. So I could do it without this, out the total by going equals B3 divided by the sum of. Okay. And then I anchor my 3 to 6. That'd be wrong. Oh, why is it? Same. Same. All right, moving on. Okay. Next thing I wanna know, so we asked about fandom. How big of a fan are you on a scale of 1 to 10? Okay, what level of measurement is that? On a scale of 1 to 10, how big of a fan are you? That is interval. And if I have interval data, what univariate statistical analysis can I do?
You can.
And it's not the best. What else can I do? Interval data,
Average?
average. I can take average score. Okay. So I want to know what's the average fandom. Okay. So in C10, big M, by the way, this is just getting used to some statistical jargon. Big M is mean. Again, it's average. The rest of the world says average. Why statisticians need to make up their own vocabulary, I don't know. But there's equals average, parentheses. I'm gonna go to the data tab. I'm gonna go to, in this case, it's column B is my fandom. So I'll just click the top of that. Average 7.32. On a scale of 1 to 10, average 7.32.
Why'd you do that?
Why is M
Oh my gosh, does it automatically? Or I repeat
Why is the M? Mean, stands for mean.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm writing everything down.
yeah, sorry for that. It's just,
M equals average parentheses.
Wait,
Then
it,
you click on
so
B.
it knows that you wanna find the mean because it has the big M above it.
oh, well, no, it knows I want to find the mean because I told it equals average.
Oh, well, yeah, but
But the big M does mean mean, which does mean average.
I didn't
And
even,
that's just, I just trying to get used to the statistical jargon. So if you see it someplace else, you're like, oh, mean, yeah, that's average. I see a big M, like when we start looking at research papers, you'll see the big M and you're like, oh, that's average. Mean means average. Okay. So the N here is number. So as Emma pointed out earlier, there's some people that skipped some questions. Okay, so there may not have been 532 or 600 or whatever people answer that question. So I want to know how many people actually answered that question. There's two ways to do that, but they're both count functions because we're counting, okay? So equals count. Okay, I'm gonna use count if because that's what we've already learned. That's another way to do it, okay? Count if parentheses data column B. So I'm counting in column B. Okay? I want to know everybody who answered that question. So if they answered that question, I'm going to have a number here. So that number is going to be greater than 0. So comma greater than. So the arrow, the alligator mouth faces the bees. Greater than 0. Except there's one quirk. I don't know why. But anytime you use greater than, less than, it wants quotation marks around it. So we're going to put quotation marks around that. So what I'm telling the program is count if in column B we have a number that's greater than 0.
error. What?
Here. Oh, you know why? Because we haven't changed this like we had that earlier issue. We need to change this to a number. So if I go to B, format, change it to number.
I didn't get an error. Mine worked.
Okay, well,
Why am I getting there?
I did, so.
I think you have 2 commas.
I do have 2 commas. Good
And
eye.
I put the, yeah,
Good eye. Yep. I had an extra
I mean,
comma.
I'll try again, comma. 0. Those.
So folks,
How y'all doing?
I'll make jokes about me making mistakes up here, but in all seriousness, like one of the things I want you to learn is like it's okay to make mistakes. You just gotta kind of troubleshoot what you did wrong. Like you will make mistakes. Okay, and you gotta kind of troubleshoot what you get wrong. So I don't want you to be afraid of breaking it. Like you're not gonna get to a point where you can't dial it back. And as I think I said last week, I've been saying this for the last several years, and now I feel validated. In 2 years, that's my prediction, 2 years, someone can come back to me in 2 years, okay? We're not gonna use this tool, which we've been using for 30 years. You're gonna upload this file into ChatGPT and you're gonna say, tell me the average score of this column. And you're just gonna like write into the sentence and it's gonna, that's my prediction in 2 years, but. So while I want you to learn this tool, and it's been with us for 30 years, so it's a lot of usefulness. I do think you're at a pivotal point where it's about to change.
Yeah.
You're gonna be a voice, aren't you? But, we're gonna learn it. We're gonna learn it if nothing else, so you have some comfort with it. Yeah.
How many like data set assignments will we have for this?
I still have an error.
I'll come again. How many data set assignment?
How many like things like this are we gonna have assignment wise?
App 4.
Just one
data.
Yeah. That's in Excel. App 4, and there's if you really like this stuff, there's a bonus assignment, which will teach you some advanced skills. So app 4 is gonna be doing this.
You have to quote every time.
App 5 is gonna be, I think, like seeing, like I'll give you the results and you have to make sense of them. App 6 is about reading articles and making sense of it. And then app 7 is your presentation. All right, Grace is
Well,
done.
Colton helped me fix it, but so you have to put quotation marks on everything that you're gonna type out. And then do you have to, I think I also forgot to add, like I would do comma and I wouldn't add a space. Is that what that messed me up?
Yeah, all kinds of little things like that will mess you up. Which
Okay.
again is why, so that you gotta kind of get comfortable with, like, you're gonna break it and that's okay.
After comma.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. So I will not be humble for a second. Like, I am ridiculously good at Excel. Like what you see me doing here is like 0.0001% of what I can do in Excel. I learned it all independently. Once upon a time, actually, I'm just gonna tell a story now because you need a brain break anyway. So my quick career path. So when I got out of college, with a master's degree in religious history, and I was like, what the heck to do with that? I still don't know. It's good for party chatter. I got a job because it's really hard to find a job, but I got a job with a at the time, small company that did consulting on executive pay. So we worked with companies to help them design their pay packages for their CEOs, their CFOs, all this sucks. So the reason I got that job is I went to a pretty dorky undergrad school. The owner of that company's whole philosophy was executive pay is such this niche thing that even if you go to business school, they don't teach that to you. It's this really niche field. So everybody in that office she hired came from my college, William and Mary in Virginia. And she taught us. So there was me with my religion degree, there was a history major in there, a philosophy major in there. We were an eclectic bunch, but she apparently was onto something because we ended up getting acquired by a large like international consulting firm and then became very corporate. So that's where I learned Excel, and I learned it just by seeing what other people did and trying to figure out how to do it. Because a big thing of what I did there is we would compare. So my specialty was on board of director pay. So I created this database, had thousands of companies in it. It had, I still remember this, 155 rows of data that we would go through, read these financial reports, enter, and then I created 10 different workbooks with like visualizations that's somewhat based off that data. And it was all like formula driven. So I would write these formulas that were like a nested. So they would be like, if this, then that, 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 if this, then that. So, why am I telling you that? I don't remember. I guess what I was gonna tell you is like, oh, I know why I was telling you. I learned this independently, which is probably not good for you because it means I have no idea how to teach it. I'm like, I figured it out, you can too. But the serious part of that is like, you just gotta like get your hands dirty and like play with it and break it, and it's okay, and try to figure it out.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like Google Docs.
yeah, so Kinder put an issue offers an Excel class. I think, hey, like, play with it and use YouTube. I'm just like, I wanna do this, tell me how.
WP Carey's famous like intro Excel class and
Yeah.
there were 4 people in the class and you couldn't
Yeah.
really learn anything.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it was
the
just either you know it or you're asking people for help.
All right, but so here's what I'm thinking for Thursday. I think, I need to go look back. So again, this will be like, follow your announcements. I think we're just gonna finish this. Okay, and maybe look at other things, because we haven't even gotten to the cross tabs yet. We've only done univariate stuff. So I think we will use the same format on Thursday. So now you can both in person and online, you can kind of decide like this works for me being here, or we might as well stay home. It's up to you. I like you here. That's a bit selfish. It's just more fun when you're here. I think like it's easier to answer your questions if you're here than online, but that is up to you. I won't judge you if you choose to be online. I'll send out an announcement to confirm, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
No, I'm coming back in.
What questions do you have? How are we feeling? Still a little like, probably.
I just think I need to take it home and like
It
practice.
just needs practice.
I
Yeah.
mean,
It just needs practice.
we've been
And
learning
again,
step by
to
step.
hopefully alleviate some concern, the one application assignment you'll do that's gonna have you doing Excel stuff, like, I have a video that walks you through it, and it's not just the skill, it's like, on this spreadsheet, do this, click here, click here, click here, click here. And still, at the end of the day, if you're still struggling, like, you know how to find me and we'll walk through it together. So there's that out, there's one where you interpret the data, there's one about reading data. And that's basically it. There is if you do like this stuff, there's a bonus assignment. I think I might update it. Because it's actually become easy for some people that it's a little more advanced. So if you're like, I want to learn more advanced stuff, there's a bonus assignment that'll teach you some of the more advanced stuff. But you've got some time to figure that out. All right, folks, I always appreciate you. I extra appreciate you because I really don't know the best way to teach this to you. So we kind of muddle along together. I will see you here or here, virtual space on Thursday. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right,
If
bye
I
folks online.
I would be like,